Hi everyone, this is Sandro Forte, and today it gives me great pleasure to introduce the wonderful Kreesan Naidoo. We became friends, I hope you'll allow me to use that expression, a couple of years back when I had the great privilege of addressing a lovely group of people from IG Wealth in Canada. I've established many great friendships and we all stay in touch. And I have a particular affinity with Kreesan, partially because we enjoy doing similar things outside of our daily working lives. We'll talk about that in a second, but also because this is an individual, and I hope I'm not going to embarrass him when I say this, that really took on board some of the things that we were sharing during Masterclass. And, I don't think he's any greater example of how to take an idea and turn it into some kind of positive action. And he has achieved some extraordinary things in no small way due to his own efforts, but we'll find out about his experience. And of course, the great thing about these live events is that here I am at my home in Italy and Kreesan's in Canada. And hopefully one day we've set a little task, a little challenge for Kreesan. Hopefully one of these days, Kreesan will be enjoying a glass of wine over in the hills of Umbria. Anyway, without further ado, because we want to find all about what Kreesan's been up to and his experiences of working together on Masterclass. So Kreesan Naidoo, welcome to this live event. Being beamed all around the world, being enjoyed by lots and lots of people. If you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your career highlights to date, and let everyone into the little secret about what you do in terms of your moonlighting activity.
Yes, thank you. It's an honor to be with you, Sandro, and bit of background for myself. So I've been in the industry for just over 6 years. My father was actually in the industry for 37 years. So I was lucky in the sense that I had a great mentor starting out and a good foundation. But that really changed when I met Sandro. So we'll dive into that in a bit here. But yeah, I would say first and foremost, my skill set is in entrepreneurship, and thankful for Sandro, more importantly, the communication aspect, which I think is tremendously overlooked in our industry, because at the end of the day, we're in a relationship business. It really comes down to communication and the service and the experience you deliver to clients. And I can say by far, Sandro has given me more applicable items that I can take to action in my business than anyone else I've met on the planet. And I've been through numerous courses, self-development, coaching, business, entrepreneurship, and by far, I would say I've had more value from Sandro than anyone else I've personally met.
Well, you're very kind. I'll take it. Thank you. But at the same time, I did highlight this at the beginning during my introduction, that the one thing that I've identified in you, Kreesan, straight away, and we will talk about the thing that you like to do outside of work, which is keeping yourself very fit. Please do not remove your shirt and embarrass me. But one of the things that I've spotted in you very early on in the process was that you were very hungry for information. You are one of these people that have commitment in abundance. We'll talk a little bit about what it takes to be committed and that whole discipline regret thing. We talked about that a bit on Masterclass. You are somebody that has a huge amount of personal discipline. And I remember interactions with your dad, who's a very, very nice man. I can see where you get all of your skills from. And 6 years in the business seems like 60 years with all of the experience that you bring to the table. You're mature beyond your years and I think destined for very good things. So with all of that said, when you came into Masterclass, what were the expectations? That time, 4 years in the business, still learning, hungry for information. But there wasn't a lot of marketing done. No, that's not said with any disrespect. What were your expectations, Kreesan? Was it just here we go, it's another program, or did you have any specific goals? And then I guess the second part of the question is, where did you find yourself transitioning to what came as a surprise, if there were any surprises? So kind of where did you start the process in terms of mindset, and where have you gotten to now in terms of your journey on that continuous process?
Yeah, great question. So I think when I first took a look at it, naturally, like anyone, you see a coaching program being released. It's filled with maybe a bit of excitement, but there was a bit of skepticism because people nowadays, they all market themselves as self-development coaches. I think the first thing that really stood out, though, is your background being one of the most successful advisors in the world. Just from the start, I think that gave me a lot of confidence, because it's not someone coming in who is going to say all these great things, but they've never actually taken the action and they've never actually done it. So I think with your background, that just gave me a lot more confidence and enthusiasm heading into the program before we even began, just because I know anything that comes from you, you've actually done it yourself. You've had a tremendous amount of success, and that gave me a lot of reassurance. But I think from day one, when I started the program, what really made it different than any of the other programs I've done is you gave definable action steps from the very first session, and I could actually apply that the very next day. Because no different to reading books or going through courses, it's great to have all this knowledge and information, but the most important thing, which is what I learned from you too, is what you do with it after. And it's the action you take as soon as you finish. What are you going to do to actually make a monumental change? So I think the strategies, the skill sets that I was able to apply the day after, that's what made the difference. And that gave me even more confidence, because I started seeing improvements and success from day one relative to, you go through this weekend course, you feel great, you feel excited, and then maybe that lasts a week or so, and not much really changes after a week or two. So I think the fact that I was able to apply it, see improvements, visual improvements from day one, that just gave me a lot more reassurance, confidence, and that really skyrocketed the overall trajectory of success for business altogether.
Fabulous. Now, we're not here to pat each other on the back. I have to say, all of your success is down to you. I'm just somebody that kind of points people in the right direction. But the ability to take an idea and apply it. One of the, let's use the word criticism, if we may, Kreesan. One of the criticisms of Masterclass, which is a kind of a nice problem to have, is that people say it's like drinking from a fire hose. There's so much content. And you alluded to this earlier about having to kind of break it down, compartmentalize it, and just go, right, I will deal with this over a period of time. Many people, as you know, have come back to the masterclass 2 or 3 times because there's bits they miss, and they need, the helping hand to implement another idea on top of the multiple ideas they've already implemented. But with that in mind, what are maybe the 1 or 2 ideas that you've taken from Masterclass that have had the biggest impact, would you say? And I'm sorry, I'm really putting you on the spot. That's what these live sessions do, unfortunately. But were there 1 or 2 kind of real standout things for you personally that have helped you to transition to a different place in your life and your career?
Yeah, great question. I think by far, the communication aspect, and more specifically, if I had to choose one, probably just dealing with objections and the art of communication and negotiation, because that's something that every day, whether it's in business or personal life, friends, family, you can actually use that in every interaction. And to a certain degree, every single human interaction, there's a degree of negotiation involved. So I think your phrase or your strategy and blueprint in terms of from start to finish, when someone raises a concern, objection, they're a bit hesitant, I think the actual steps and scripting you've given to me, I can only speak to myself, but I use that every single day. So I would say handling objections, just showing empathy in all interactions, again, whether it's personal or business, that's been the most useful skill by far, because I would say the biggest value I've got from your course is just communication in general. And that principle has by far impacted me more than any other skill I've developed in my life.
So 6 years of hopefully 36, 46 years in the business, Kreesan. What's next on this wonderful upward trajectory that you're currently, because I know this, you know, you've made a few changes in the business and you're kind of taken over from your dad, so lots and lots of stuff going on. Where's next for Kreesan Naidoo? Where are you heading?
Yeah, so I think going back to the first session, I think from a mindset perspective, you really changed my belief system in terms of just where we're able to aim. So I think by far, like you said, the biggest detriment to a lot of people is setting goals too small, and ideally you actually don't want to hit it, right? So I think from the mindset you've given me to 10x my goal, what that translates to for me is I originally had a goal to reach a $250 million practice. I've increased that to $1 billion. So I think just from a mindset perspective, thinking bigger, knowing that if someone like you came from, you know, your starting point to the tremendous success that is continually growing, I think from a mindset and belief perspective, it changed that for me. But that translates into all areas of my life. So again, I don't think it's just business that you've impacted me. It's really all disciplines of life. The Wheel of Fortune that you kind of showcased to us, I think that was incredible too, just showing that by segmenting different areas of your vision for your life, there's a way to find an optimal balance for everything you do.
I remember actually the conversation that you and I had shortly after we completed the masterclass. As part of, you know, there was a very big group of people, but the reason why you stood out for me was I remember you contacting me and saying the first goal I've set myself is to create this $1 billion business, and that's why immediately I thought, right, I'm going to mark this guy down as somebody to have on a live stream or a podcast or something, because as you rightly say, Kreesan, you know, Pete, and I say this all the time, those watching today will have heard me say this till I'm blue in the face, but the reality is that people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss, but because they aim too low and hit. And that's what I love, you know, the fact that somebody's prepared to take the risk. You know, there's a risk involved, because none of us like failure. But one thing I know about the $1 billion challenge that you've set yourself is that you're going to get far closer to that, if not exceed it, than you ever would achieve something if you'd set the $250 million target. So, you know, hopefully at some point we'll check back in and we'll see how you're getting on with that target. But it's been fantastic having you share your few thoughts. I mean, if there's anything else, any other thoughts or observations you've got for anyone watching, you know, who might be asking themselves the question, okay, you know, do I join the masterclass? Because we now have the new dates for Masterclass 2024. What would you say, Kreesan, to anyone, to your earlier word, the skeptic, thinking, oh, here we go, it's just another program. It's just another one of those, you know, messages from a motivational speaker or a coach or a manager or a trainer. Few words of wisdom based on, of course, your own experience. What would you say to anyone who's kind of sitting on the fence going, oh, you know, I'm not sure?
I can only speak for myself and my personal experience, but I mean, I've gone through Tony Robbins programs, every big kind of self-development coach, entrepreneur. And I would say, again, going back to the start, Sandro has given me more applicable items that I can actually take action and get immediate results than anyone else I personally met. So I think the big difference is Sandro is not a motivational speaker, or is not just a motivational speaker. He's someone who's actually done it and has a track record and has that to back it up. So it's one thing to hear from someone who's saying a lot of things, but hasn't actually had it and had the success as Sandro's had. So I think when you couple that with his background and his experience and his way of making it impactful and effectful for people around the world, I don't think, quite frankly, there's a better program I could have ever done. And I'd say, again, Sandro's changed my life more than any other self-development, personal coaching person to date.
Well, thank you. I'm very humbled. That's a lovely testimonial. And there you have it, everyone. You heard it from Kreesan Naidoo. I'm more effective than Tony Robbins and a lot cheaper too. So if you would like to join the Success Masterclass in 2024, you will find details on the website. And as part of this link, you'll get all the information you need please do join us. It will be a lot of fun. And I guarantee, that's one of the things that comes with the masterclass, a guarantee that we will all increase personal success by a minimum of 30%. Terms and conditions apply. Just read all of those for yourself. But it would be great to have you join us if you'd like to. Kreesan Naidoo, thanks so much. I look forward very much to staying in touch, to continuing to build our friendship. I have a huge amount of respect for you. And if only I was your age again, gosh, I'd do some serious damage. So I wish you well. Stay in touch. Look forward to hearing about all your successes yet to come, because that's an inevitability, I'm sure. But thanks for joining us today and just sharing your few experiences, and especially very grateful for that lovely testimonial at the end.
Thank you so